technical snafu there. But I see we are live before your naked, steaming eyes. Yes, indeed. All right. Well, not everybody's at church on time, and that's okay. This is an impromptu live. I'm coming at you from the green room, and we're going to just have a little fun. The wife's out shopping, and so it's time to talk a little music. It's time to talk a little tea. It's time to see what's popping out there. Let's see who's out there. Who's out there right now? If you could say a little something in the chat. Delicious Red Bull. Now, I don't know if YouTube is having some glitch right now or what's going on, but it was certainly weird. Hello, Joker Fish. Woo! Woo! Yes, indeed. What's up, dude? Jeremy, what's happening, brother? Yes, indeed. Jerry, what's happening? Yes, indeed. We're fine. Wow, man, it's all jumped up. I think it felt like good afternoon, Leah. How you doing, everybody? I just had to blind. Woo! Ben, how you doing? Woo! 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 Yes. I need that drink, man. I haven't been able to find that, but man, we got this. Whoo, we got the lights. It's like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. The wig is shaggy today. Yes, indeed. Who was that? Chris, what's happening, brother? Okay, if you've ever been to New Orleans or Las Vegas or whatever and gone to one of those dive bars, like what's the Double Down Saloon in Vegas? Has anybody been to that bar? Super cool dive bar in Las Vegas. I don't even drink anymore, but I think I would almost have to go there. Dude, Double Down. So when I was out on the road around 2013 or whatever, and we would go to Vegas, man, the Double Down became our spot because it had super cheap beer. It had nothing but punk rock on the jukebox, which, you know, I don't know a lot of deep cuts. I know the Sex Pistols and I know the Clash. That's all I know. But it was just loud, you know, going in the background. Check out Stephen Rosen's EVH book and interview him. Chris, I've got a EVH Van Halen guy I'm interviewing Monday. And it's not your guy, but it's a good one. It's a good one. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, man, the Double Down Saloon in Las Vegas. If you go to Las Vegas and you're tired of paying, you know, the ridiculous prices in the casinos and stuff like that, you like dive bars, go to the Double Down Saloon. This guy was there before they started. Very cool, Chris. I think I've seen some of his clips. Doesn't he have stuff on YouTube? I've heard some of his stuff. Yeah, he's a really cool and knowledgeable guy. So yeah, I've also got a guy that talks a lot about the evolution of Van Halen and their rise to fame, and that's who I'm going to talk to on Monday. Hi, CC, how you doing? I'm going to give it away to you now because you guys are here prompt for this impromptu live. I'm going to interview on Monday Greg Renoff. He's the author of Van Halen Rising, How a Pasadena Backyard Party Band Conquered the World, or what, that's something like that. And so that, and he also helped write the Ted Templeman biography. He got together with Ted Templeman and helped him write his memoir, and super knowledgeable guy on the early days of Van Halen. Man, if you haven't read Van Halen Rising, you need to. And I'm going to interview him Monday. It's probably going to air next Sunday. But wish me luck with that, because you know, you never know. What's up, bro? X5, what's happening? Yes, we missed you. Hey, everybody, man, if y'all got to go back and watch the X5 podcast, it's called A Moment in Time. They put on an event in LA, and man, it was epic. They had Billy Idol, they had Mark Wise, they had Nikki Sixx was there, Gene Simmons, Doc McGee, all these incredible musicians. They had a jam. Gilby Clarke was playing. So they've got some really cool stuff, and I don't know if X5 wants me to give up the tea yet, but they'll have to let me know. I will tell the little secret. But right now, I'm just keeping it under wraps because I don't know how they. X5 is a badass dude. So X5, I can't tell these secrets, right? But X5 has got a lot of cool stuff coming up, man. A lot of cool. Oh, go ahead, they say. Okay, so we're going to announce it right now to all you the impromptu live that we're doing now. The wife is out shopping. I got the house to myself. And X5 is flying me out up to their studio. And we're going to have a good time hanging out, talking about music because they are musicians. X5 is a podcast with incredible musicianship, guys that have done it. And man, I'm going up there and we are going to have a blast. Yes, so I'm going to be on the X5 podcast, so you might as well, everybody go and subscribe to that now. Hey, X5 has already done Tom Zutaut, Chris. So I think I'm good on that. But yeah, man, go subscribe to X5. Now, I don't know when they are going to air this episode. It might be, a couple days after, but I'm going the weekend of April 11th. So my guess is the episode will air the Wednesday after that. So we're looking at like the second week of October. It's October 11th. See, I'm so confused. I don't know what day it is. I'm just over here hustling every day. So this is coming up. I am leaving Mia and my wife, and I'm going up there, and we're gonna hang. And my wife said, "Are you nervous about going up there?" And I said, no, because it's gonna be just like sitting in a green room with a bunch of musicians and the stories. Yeah, my wig though, I gotta get my wig adjusted. I am planning on getting a haircut before this thing. And I don't, my stylist is in Nashville that I trust. And so I'm trying some girl down here. She screws it up. Hey, it could, it's a wig. So I'll just I'll get my wig trimmed and then, I can always throw on a different wig, right? So look for that. X5 podcast. It is going to be off the chain. Now I know all this stuff that they're doing. They're doing incredible stuff. I might get to go up there and play a little bit. These guys they are going to be huge. It's just amazing what they're putting together over there. So, man, I am super thankful to the X5 podcast because, man, I'm going to say, people are going to be like, who the hell is Bad Brad? and I wake up every morning thinking the exact same thing. Who are you? Who are you? What do you want to do with your life? It's like, dude, it's like I always, every now and then I'll get, well, I don't know who you are. I'm like, well, dude, I don't know who you are either. And there's probably some guy around the corner who doesn't know who Eric Clapton is. But, it's like, We're all just trying to survive, right? And that is the beauty. I'm so thankful. We've got 32 people in here. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. And here's the thing: I didn't even realize that Charlie, who is the head of X5, we met while I was out on the road. We met on a tour bus, and I was, dude, I don't remember. So I was probably just chugging whiskey and drinking beers and acting like a complete, jackass. If you can imagine me with alcohol. So this is the caffeinated version. And, back then, it would be. So, we met. And I said, man, I was probably drinking, and we both probably had something to drink that night. But I digress. Man, I am super excited to go on X5 podcast because, man, they are doing such cool stuff, and they got so many incredible guests on their show. And dude, I'm just dude. I'm just like everybody that watches this channel, man. I'm just a guy who's been beating it up, but I have a unique experience being able, to say I was in hair bands, and then I somehow snuck into bro country, and I was out playing bro country, decades later. And so now, having all this experience and tales to tell, and I know those guys, I watched their older episodes, and those guys have such experience, and we all have stories to tell. So it's kind of like my interview I did with Randy O from Odin that aired this morning. I didn't have to do anything because those guys, he was just Nikki Sixx and all this, naming all this stuff, and Chris Holmes and Rat and Axl Rose and it was just like I don't even have to ask questions. So awesome! I will smash like twice in every video. I'm that much of a fan. I think if you hit it twice, Nikos, it cancels out. Woo! So yeah, it's gonna be an amazing weekend because I'm flying there on a Friday, and I assume we're gonna tape on Saturday. Then I'll fly back Sunday morning, and then it'll probably what's happening beyond belief. See, we're gonna get this room popping. Yo, Vance, what's happening? Man, we're just having some fun talking about a little X5 podcast, man. The Doc McGee podcast comes out next Wednesday. It's going to knock your socks off. He tells so many cool stories and also tells some stuff he never told before. Yeah, so this is why everybody that's watching right now needs to subscribe to X5 podcast, because they revealed in their event they did the other night out in LA that they got together with Doc McGee, who was the manager of Motley Crue and all this history in the music business. And man, he sat down with them, and he was just going and telling all these. No, X5 podcast, Nikos, is a YouTube channel. You'll see their name in the chat. Add them, Nikos. You'll really like it. They got Steve O on there, and Corey Feldman did an episode, and they've had all these rock and rollers on there and stuff. Man, it's amazing. So smash that like. Yes, let's get the likes up in this room. Everybody, once again, check out the X5 podcast with Doc McGee. It's coming out. I have no sound. Is that true? That can't be true. Vance. Okay, cool. Man, if somebody calls me that yesterday, let's see, what do we got? Somebody says 157K subs. Yeah, that's what I need. Yeah, X5 has a lot of subs. They are a huge channel. Awesome, Jerry. Thank you. And They are a huge channel. So the fact that I'm my little ass is, or not so little ass, is going up there to be on their channel, dude. It's kind of like a Cinderella story. You know, I got to just make sure my slippers fit, if you know what I'm saying. But yeah, it's gonna be friggin' awesome, man. So how's everybody doing? Did everybody see the Randy O interview this morning? I did. Man, that was an amazing episode. Woo! It was an amazing episode this morning, man. And so the crazy thing about it was, I'm talking to this guy he's a legend of the Sunset Strip, and I used to see him rehearse, dude. He was rehearsing in my band's rehearsal facility, like when we were not rehearsing. This other guy that brought him in and said, and rented out the space to make a little bucks, and I would come in. I said, dude, I would sneak in, and I would sit in the control room, and I would listen to you guys. So I saw Lost Boys. I knew. Yeah, exactly, Scott. Randy O is a super cool guy, man, and he's a big dude. So he was playing the Strip when he was just a kid, dude. He was like 17, 18 years old. And yeah, he's cool as hell. And the irony of it at the end is, I know I've had this project in the can with my old drummer in LA, and we're waiting on our old singer to, get off his tush and track his vocals, and to find out that Roger has said, hey, if our singer doesn't come in, will you sing on these songs? So I'm interviewing the guy that might end up singing on our old LA, songs. Is just mind blowing. I was just like, dude, this is like the perfect ending to an interview, to find out that, dude, we might be like recording together. You might be singing on my old band's stuff, because here's the thing, man. The ones that are still doing it, are still hustling, are still trying, but not trying to make it, but doing it because we love music. We're the ones that never quit. There's a lot of people, man, who had to put it aside. They couldn't figure out a way to either, pay the bills or whatever, and then they just walked completely away. And then there's those of us who maybe did different types of music and different types of gigs just so we could keep playing. But then there's guys that did, like he worked on film. Randy O worked on some of the biggest films in Hollywood as a Teamster trucker on film sets, right? And so he did well doing that. He got in, he got into that at like 25 years old or 26 years old. So man, he was able to retire at 55, but he still kept the fire of the music. Now he's like singing. Now he's like, man, I want to sing on you guys' tracks. And I'm like, dude, that would be better. I hate to say it, but having Randy O sing on our old demos from back in the day would be so friggin' cool. It would absolutely be cool. So yeah, maybe we could come up with a name, and we'll do the songs, and then we'll go play. We got our old drummer, we got Randy O, you got me. All we need is a bass player, and boom, we'll go play the whiskey, and it'll be called some kind of 80s has been supergroup. 80s never was supergroup conquers the whiskey, right? We'll dust it off. And we'll go out there and kick some, what. It would be fun to have a little 50 to 100 watt Marshall half stack, and plug that thing in and get back on that whiskey stage and do it, man. 80 Survivor, Scott, absolutely. We got 43 people in here. We got 27 likes. Let's get the likes up. Man, we got so much cool stuff coming up, dude. with X5, helping us, pulling us along. X5, I got to give all the credit in the world, because when I was sitting in my parents', my mom's, Florida, that when I would have all those shrubs, Florida palm trees and stuff sitting behind me, doing the first lives, which I'd never even really done lives. And X5 is like, donating to the channel. And I'm like, man, this is like, really, I can like actually do this, and it's been you guys, everybody that comes every morning at 8 a.m. on the Breakfast Club, that watches, I put a new video out every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's you guys, the Breakfast Club, that carry me through in the morning and keep me editing and chopping up video over here. And you should contact Colt Ford, Brad. That interview would probably do numbers. It probably would. I wonder if he would do it. I mean, I love Colt Ford, man. And if it weren't for Colt Ford, I wouldn't have gold and platinum plaques on my wall at 57. But, it's like at the same time, I feel like Colt, he needs his peace and he needs to heal. And the thing is about this channel is it seems like people really dig the Sunset Strip. Now, they like to hear the Nashville stuff, but the reality is Nashville is not as a mythical, kind of thing as LA. And now doing these interviews, and I've got companies sending me products and stuff like that. I haven't even dipped into the Nashville thing. I haven't even dipped into my contacts as far as Nashville goes and interviewing the players and the musicians. And I will do that. But, it's like, as another guy, Ira Dean from Trick Pony. Now, he's got a solo record that's just dropped right now. And man, he's got a place down here in Florida. I've got a place down here in Florida. And we've always been tight. But Ira is a hustler, dude. He is a guy that's always working the phones, always writing with people, always doing stuff. And I'm kind of the opposite. I hustle and bust my hump, but I'm more of a hermit, and then when you put me out in public, I just, like I'm doing now, I'm able to just pop it out because I store up that energy, that energy. 80 Sunset Strip guy all day long, beyond belief. Dude, if I can keep finding these nuggets. The crazy thing is that I tried to explain, and a guy in the comments on the section about the Randy O video, this guy had put in a comment, hey, you should interview Randy O from Odin, from that Decline movie. And I was like, yeah, that would be really cool. And I stepped away from the computer and I'm like, yeah, but how the heck am I gonna find that guy? Like, where is that guy? I don't know where that guy is. And a few days later, my buddy Roger Carter, and it just so happens Roger's been producing his music for years out in LA. And he said, hey man, you should interview my buddy Randy O. And I'm like, from Odin? And he's like, yeah, he's a good friend of mine. And I'm like, dude, yes. And I didn't even like, I was kind of like, do I want to do this? But, then I saw him again in the Paramount Plus Nothing But a Good Time documentary. There he is again, Randy O's footage being used and being talked about and being a huge part of that film. And I was like, man, this is like perfect timing to get Randy O when this is people are watching this all across the country. And he is to me, he is kind of one of those guys you wonder, what happened to that guy? Where is that guy? And to find out that he is like doing so well and so together now, But remember so much of just, he's in such a better place than a lot of those guys, man. A lot of us, man, I was lucky to get out in 94. I was lucky. Now that I realize it, and I left for Nashville, and let me tell you something, Nashville was not like this amazing, you should interview the two metal chicks from Decline. Man, here's the thing. That decline of Western civilization, I watched that. I was out there when that came out. And I didn't really know too many of the guys in it. Of course, they had all the big name guys, but I was a street level, in a street level band at that time. And I didn't really know the Odin guy till later, till he had a band called Lost Boys. So it was almost like they did that film and then they almost like it kind of P-Funk. So, hey, everybody say hello to my buddy Michael Strong. Now, Michael Strong lived in the Shock House with me, with our buddy, mutual buddy, Johnny D. And Mikey and Johnny lived across the hall from me when I lived in Hollywood. So Michael, dude, Michael is a cool dude. Man, we used to have so much fun, dude. Mikey, we used to call him Mikey. Mikey, man, we would have, dude, we got stories for days. I can't even really, people say, oh, well, the stories and you can't tell. Mikey was cool as hell, dude. Mike used to get the ladies too. Mike looked at a lot at the time. He looked like Mark Slaughter. He had the same hair, he had the same face, and liked to drink cold beer. Mike was a lot of fun, man. Mike, thanks for coming in here, brother. Mike, feel free to tell some stories, but not any not any good ones. Yeah, dude. So here's how I met Mikey. I'm living in an apartment, and it's Keith Howland, who eventually ended up in Chicago, and Lance Morrison that played on Jagged Little Pill. We're in this apartment, and I see these dudes across the hall. And I was kind of like, well, these guys are cool, and they're good musicians and stuff, but these guys look like they'd be fun to hang out with. So I go, well, I look in my fridge, and I had one generic beer. It literally just said beer, and it had the blue thing with the white. And I said, I'm going to go over there and say, brought you a housewarming gift. And I go over there with this generic beer and I say, hey guys, I just wanted to, and they said, oh man, come on in. And ever since that moment, we were always hanging out and cooking up schemes and, going to get beers. And we'd go to Ralph's. And Rock and Roll Ralph's. Now, if you want to talk about the Sunset Strip, if you know about it, yes, Shade, how you doing? If you know about the Sunset Strip era, if you lived in Hollywood, you had to know about Rock and Roll Ralph's. Now, the Ralph's, Shade, what's happening? The Rock and Roll Ralph's was on Sunset, and it was kind of around the corner from like Hollywood Boulevard. And it was before you got to, the actual strip and the actual action. But it was this Ralph's. And you would go in there, if you went in there late at night, right? We would always go and we're going to go get beer. You could buy tequila, you could buy, whatever. Most of the time back then we were drinking tequila and beer, right? So we'd go down to Rock and Roll Ralph's, and dude, you would see Paul Stanley. I saw Paul Stanley in there. This is like 1987, maybe 88. And you see Paul Stanley, and he's all, he's got the sunken in cheeks, and he's got his hair like pulled back, but he's wearing like a polka dot like shirt with his chest, exposed, and tight jeans, and all that. Mickey, what's happening? And you would see, I saw Graham Bonnet from Alcatraz in there. And then you would see the no-name rockers who were usually more of a, more interesting to watch than the rock stars. You would see, I mean, look, there was different levels. Some of those LA rockers were just, it's that sleaze rock, right? And it would have the jet black hair and tattoos and very pale and no athletic ability, and they would have the girls that were kind of that type of girl you would see. And I wasn't ever really that attracted. Yeah, like the LA Guns kind of look, but maybe even more than that. Probably the bands that didn't make it were probably sleazier looking than LA Guns. LA Guns always kind of had that, but they were almost kind of a put together kind of thing. These would be just four like dudes that are probably strung out, living in an apartment, playing once a month at the Whiskey at a 10 o'clock slot, on a Thursday, that kind of thing. But man, you would go in, Bad Brad, you got to find those cats in the... Dude, Mickey, I just aired an interview with Randy O from Odin today. I just did. If I can find anybody else from that. But here's the thing, man. A lot of those people, besides Randy O, now Randy O I knew of, but a lot of those other cats in there, I didn't really know who they were. I'd never seen them before. So it was kind of like, I think it was a timing thing and who you knew. And, those groups got featured in the movie, and there were a lot of bands that were not in there. But it seemed to me almost like they typecasted some of the LA bands as we want to just pick the weirdest ones, the ones that you look at immediately and go, this guy's not going to make it. Not talking about Odin, but talking about some of the other little like interview segments where it's just like one guy and he's like, I'm gonna be a rock star. And some of those guys, it was just like you knew they didn't have a chance. You knew Odin did have a chance. But Brad, are we going to the moon? Is that what we're doing with this channel? Or we take straight to the top? We going straight to the top? I think Odin's guitars ended up, yes, he did. And man, when I went back and listened to Odin, man, the guitar playing is great. It's great. I'm like, man, and then he played solos on the Lost Boys album, Jeff Duncan. And man, he played really cool stuff. He was a good guitar player. Let's see. Yeah, they were all to the record biz doesn't care. Yeah, record biz doesn't care about talent. And I had a guy today hit me up and watched the Randy O thing, and he was in Imagine World Peace, which was a huge band on the Strip that probably not a lot of people know about. But man, those guys were supposed to be like the next big thing. Yeah, Jeff Duncan, he's a good guitar player, man. I don't know about that, Ace, and I can't really comment on that because my skinny days long gone, my friend. I say. My daughter calls me big fella. She calls me the big. I said, oh, big Kahuna. Oh yes, that's delicious. All right, we got 59 people in here. 37 thumbs up. We got 61 in here. Let's get the thumbs up. Everybody, we got the X5 podcast. I'm going to be on that. Ace, what do we got? What do you guys want to talk about today? Give me a topic. Set me on the thing. I was telling y'all about Rock and Roll Ralph's. Now they would have like this beer that would be like something Lucky Lager or something like that. And I would see, Rob, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rob. You rock, dude. You rock. That helps so much. Every little bit helps this channel, dude. I have a goal of like what I want to make each day. And you'll notice If I put out a video in the morning and it's doing really well, then I'll let it ride, and we'll see where it's going to go. But if I see my numbers get down to a certain point, I reach into my reserves and go, missile engage. And I go, I think this is a good one. Hyde Corbett got sacked back to back. Okay. Okay, so I guess the Titans are losing. Is that what's going on? I don't know. I'm not watching the football right now. Which Sunset Strip band were the biggest posers? Ooh, that's a tough. I don't think I can throw anybody under the bus like that, because if you were willing to put in the time, write some songs, and get on stage, well, then essentially you're not a poser. The biggest posers a lot of times were the guys that weren't in bands but would dress the part everywhere they went. They thought when they went to school at GIT that if they wore this bitchin' headband and their shades and their cowboy boots and all this kind of stuff, to school, looking like they're ready to audition for David Lee Roth or something like that. That was Randy. Hey, everybody say hello to Randy O. Here, Randy, you could say that. He knows. Yeah, to me, Nick, thank you so much. That is amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah. You could see, I never saw Tough. I never saw them play live. I only partied with the guitar player a couple times. He was just one of those guys that, Randy O is here, dude. Everybody loved that interview. Everybody loved it, man. I'm telling you, it's an incredible story, and man, what a cool dude. I mean, like I said, I was so jacked after I did that interview, because I knew how good it was, man. And man, yes. See, Randy, he subscribed to your Instagram. We're going to get your numbers up. We're going to get, help get his story up. And Randy's got new music coming out, and we're going to pump it up. We'll have Randy back when his new single comes out. And that way we'll blast it out. And by that time, I'll probably have 10K, 11K, maybe 20K. And he still has a great voice, dude. He's keeping it, and he's keeping it in good shape now. I was just telling him, Randy, wouldn't it'd be awesome if we get Roger, you, me, and a bass player, and those songs that Roger's got in the can, we record those things, and we go do some other. We'll just call it something else. I've got a killer name that I've had in my can for a while, and you would get a kick out of that name. But it'd be almost like guys from the Sunset Strip, super group, go to crank out a couple tunes. But here's the thing. We build this following on this YouTube, and boom, then you've got an audience, man. So it would be killer to go do that. Maybe down the line. And it's always good to have options, man. Salute Randy O so much. That was an amazing interview. I was telling him, Randy, about Rock and Roll Ralph's. Rock and Roll Ralph's. That I know you've made many trips down there. People getting their booze, and you'd see rock stars in there and chicks. Here's the thing about Rock and Roll Ralph's. You didn't even have to go down to the Rainbow to try to meet girls. You could go in Rock and Roll Ralph's, and you can go in Rock and Roll Ralph's and meet a couple dates and say, hey, we're getting a couple cases of beer. You want to come party with us? And chicks will just, okay. And the next thing you know, you've just went to the grocery store. Ace, thank you so much. I need some fretboard oil. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you. That is amazing. Ace, you rock. Man, this is just a killer Sunday, man. And it all thanks to Randy O. Because man, it fired. Everybody was just loved that friggin' interview, man. It was just absolutely great. And the greatest part of it is it's a redemption story, man. Hearing a story about debauchery and stupidity and stuff we did in the past is never as good as telling the story and then going, and I'm alive now, and I'm clear-eyed, and I'm able to tell the tale and go, whew, that's not what life's about. What life's about is family and friends and getting up each day and doing your best. That's what life is all about. You know, all that rock star nonsense. We're glad, yes, Joey, we are glad that we live to tell the tale. Mark, what's happening, man? Big D, you ever go to Nashville Gibson Garage? Yes, Big D, I've been to Gibson Garage a bunch of times. I even have a video on my channel about my visit. Denny's on the Strip was quite lively too. Absolutely, Philip. We would go, yeah, Randy, do you think Chris Holmes got a raw deal in Wasp? I think he did, but Randy would know better than I did. But that's what, that's what they say. Woo! I'll tell you what, it's a Red Bull. I noticed Eddie Van Halen, late in his career, and he would go to, you'd see him on gigs, and he was clean and sober, but he would have a Red Bull, and he would have his vape, and it was kind of like, okay, now it used to be cigarettes and Heineken and Krell, and Chris led a tough. Thanks, Corinne Zinn. Yes, the Gibson Garage, cold beer, watching football, and some bad Brad. If we could just get those Titans to figure out what the heck they're doing. Have you ever played Madison Square Garden? No, I have not. And that's one that I regret. There's a whole list of, I've played just about all the hockey arenas in Canada. And I've played a ton of venues across North America. One I do remember is Jacksonville, where the Jacksonville Jaguars playing that stadium. But I was up in St. Louis sometime, and one of my touring friends, lived up there, and he goes, "Yeah, dude, we played that arena right there." And I go, "I did?" Dude, only gigs I really remember is if something like crazy happened. There were so many dates and so many things, so much stuff going on, and unless I met, somebody or a party, or did something or something broke or, whatever, it just became, this revolving, show. Okay, sound check, dinner, play a show, sound check, dinner, play a show, sound check. It just becomes in these arenas. There's that song, The Loadout by Jackson Browne. And the whole part about we just wander around, backstage, that is true, man. When you're playing one of those big arenas, you kind of don't know what to do with yourself. And like Randy O said in the interview today, it's like you're never really comfortable. You're always in a state of movement. And you get bored backstage. You're like, oh, well, I'm going to walk down here. Or I'm going to, you kind of just shuffle around until it's time to shower and throw on your costume and go out there and put on your show, So that song, man, it really encapsulates, the sound of slamming, folding chairs and slamming doors. Man, that song really does sum it up. And I know it's not a metal song and it's not hard rock or anything like that. 5 days back to back, Big D. Yes. You don't remember it. Dude, I was doing 5 days in a row, like every week, just week after week. and I was having to sing too. And man, I was like, look, man, if you're gonna put 5 shows in a row, I'm not doing a 3-hour vocal sound check. It's not gonna happen. Well, I said no. I said no, dude. If you want me to sing 5 nights a week and not give me a break in between that, I'm not gonna go screw around at sound check for 3 hours. Oh, can you sing another one? Oh, how about do another one? And so I because I put my foot down, it said, okay, you sing one song and then part of another one. And that was all. And so at least I got my sound check down to where all I had to do was belt out one song, and then I could try and be quiet, and be ready to do the show. Because man, sleeping in a bus with a cough drop in the side of my mouth, because you're in there, that air conditioning's blowing, it's drying your throat out, and if your throat is dry the next day, the voice is gone. It's gone. So you got to always keep it, whether it's having a water or whatever. But man, Fisherman's Friend. How many people know about Fisherman's Friend? It's a lozenge. Fisherman's Friend is a lozenge. It's like a cough drop. It comes in a box. And I guess any cat house stories, Crypto Chick. Well, what do you want to know about the cat house? The cat house was every Tuesday, right? I'm sure, Randy O, I'm sure you went to the cat house. I went to it a couple times. I stood in line, and then you get inside and you're like, there's not that many people in here. Why did I just stand in line? See, the thing about LA is some clubs would have this like velvet rope type thing. Yes, Ricky Rockman owned the cat house. Some places would have these like velvet ropes with these security guards out front. Now, not really the Sunset Strip clubs. They wouldn't really do that. But, like there was a place called Alzado's. It was off of Melrose, I think, Melrose Cahuenga or something. I don't remember. But it was owned by Lyle Alzado, who was a LA Raider at the time, right? And these 2 girls were like, hey man, and I was working at the time. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna take you both out to dinner. And they're like, wow. So I roll up to this place, and it had a red, the velvet rope, and I go up, and they're they are basically, holding people back from going in. But they see me walk up, and I said, ladies, flank me. And it was like, boom, hot chick, and we roll up, right? And the guy sees me with 2 hot chicks. He's like, right this way. He literally just boom, I'm in. So I believe the cat house may have been doing the same thing. They would set that rope up out front, and they would stagger and make it look like it was busy. Because, man, it's not easy. These were the early days of it. I never went there when it was Guns N' Roses and LA Guns and all that. When I went there, it was just somebody cranking out tunes on, like a DJ, rock DJ or something. And it was just a bunch of kind of chicks hanging around. I remember seeing this one girl. And I never really went for the real gothy, tattooed up chicks. I like more the girls that look clean from like the Valley or Orange County and stuff like that. I remember seeing this one girl, and she had a huge tattoo of a fly on her shoulder. Like this huge of a fly. And I'm like, if I'm trying to look attractive, maybe she wasn't. Or maybe she thought it was cool. But usually flies land on, and I'm like, why would you I didn't say anything to her, but the whole time I'm like, why would somebody tattoo a giant fly on their shoulder? And so that was, there was girls like that. There was, this, and I ended up meeting a young lady at the cat house, and when you're drinking, you go. She goes, "Well, I'll go, but you have to give me a ride to work at 5 a.m. in the morning." Oh yeah, sure, I'll give you a ride. And so that's my story about the cat house. I don't have that much more, except Ricky Rackman, or whatever you want to call it. I was outside. He had Bordello, which was on Santa Monica Boulevard. And one night, me and my bass player, we go down to Bordello and we bring a stack of flyers, right? And so we go, Bordello's happening tonight. I think that was a Thursday night club. And we go down to Bordello, and they had a parking lot, and all the cars were there. So we go, let's flyer the cars. So we go out and we're flyering the cars. Well, then I think we went in the club, but maybe we came out. It wasn't like that happening. It was kind of And so, but we're standing out there, and Ricky Rockman goes to the parking lot and sees our flyers on the cars. And he goes, "Oh, hell no." And he goes, you MFers, get over here and take all these flyers off. And we're like, "Oh man, dude." So then, and we're like, we're not going to buck up on the guy at the time, but we're like, man, what a DICK. Like, dude, we're just trying to hustle and get people to go to our shows. We go over and we're like, begrudgingly take our flyers off. And as we're walking away, I see Lars Ulrich leaving the club. And he is gone, dude. He is gone. And he's like, and he's like 5'2" or something. And he walks by, and I'm like, well, it's Lars Ulrich, dude. I tried to give him a flyer, and he was like, Satan. And he just stumbles off, and that was my only interaction with Ricky Rockman and that whole thing. So, that's all I really have to say on that. Do you know about a band called The Rough Cut? Yes, Rough Cut. Randy probably knows those guys. They had Amir Darak on guitar, right? I used to see the ads, and that name, Amir Darak, right? What do you do when you go in your girlfriend's house and she goes, "Well, what are you doing?" Amir Darak. Right? I mean, is that going to work? I don't know. It might. If we had just Steel Panther, Steel Panther, I think the reason why they were so great is they figured out the humor of the whole thing, the whole dude humor, and the ridiculous innuendos, of the songs, which we didn't really. If I didn't known that you could have done that formula in the 80s, you could have made it a spectacle, and you could have made it a thing where you did that with chicks. But we were trying to write serious songs. We were trying to be the next Van Halen. You're trying to be the next Led Zeppelin or whatever. Steel Panther is a genius product because it figured out what was so funny about those times and how can we modernize it just enough and now go out there and do it and make everybody see the humor in it. And I think everybody on the Strip back in the day took themselves so serious that we didn't realize, hey man, we're up here in tight pants and we're, poofing our hair out and stuff like that. This is kind of funny. This is funny. Chris, thank you so much for being here. Randy is, dropping in. It's just amazing. We've been on Real Players too. Ace says, they're good players, good solid players. The Funeral Parade, Randy it's so good, man. That was such an amazing interview. Did a shock attract boys or girls? I just watched free episode on YouTube. If you're talking about our band, Shock, we had mostly girls in the crowd. We had a singer, blonde. We had the blonde singer, and yeah, that was it. Look, man. Yeah, there would be dudes there, but you would always, just like Randy said today, you would be working, on the strip, promoting, trying to get all the girls to your show. And you knew if you had a lot of girls coming, then your buddies and dudes were going to show up. So you never promoted to dudes. It was never, I mean, if you try handing a flyer to another guy on the strip, man, that's usually when a little brawl would happen or something, because he'd throw it down on the ground and then it'd be like, dude, that kind of stuff. Dude. So, yeah, it was, I don't know any of those bands that would have tons of dudes. That was kind of the thing, man. If you could pull the chicks, get them to your gig, and you would know, you would be working the phones, and you'd go, oh man, Friday is going to be good. And here's the thing, you knew, like, you would probably have a girlfriend at the time, or somebody that you really wanted to hook up with after the show. But you would have to tell 5 to 8, other girls to come to the show. And hey, come to the show, we'll hang out. Let's party afterwards. We're gonna have a big party. And so you would have to do this knowing that you had no intention. You were gonna play your show and drift off into the night. And you just had to do that. One, you can't, you would keep them around longer if you didn't put them in your repertoire, as we say. So it was a fine line. And man, if you had somebody in your band that would not treat girls right, or was a jerk, or not good in the sack, or any of those things, that word would get out, and that would hurt your band. So you really had to be cool to people. See you, Randy. Thank you so much for being here, man. Thank you again for that incredible interview. If you have not seen it, please watch it multiple times. And we're going to have Randy O again when he gets new music coming out. I've been on here for 58 minutes. We might go a couple more minutes. We might go a little overtime if people want that. But I understand the Titans have lost Real Amps versus Smiling Amps live. Yeah, quick pump. I'm with you, man. That's such a tough question. How much support am I going to get if I got to build a amp rig? Dude, I probably spent at least $6,000 just on my amp heads that I took on the road. That's including road cases, power supply, amp switcher, wireless. I mean, dude, we'd probably be talking about 8 to 9 to 10 grand just in that one piece with 3 amp heads. And the reality was, I wasn't making enough money that I should have been spending that much. And I think nowadays, the guys that are doing some of those slots, they're all going direct. Because, dude, the amp head thing, and I didn't have a brown box or any way to regulate how much power it was getting, but man, the amps would sound different every night. And some nights it would sound killer, and some nights it's not sounding that great, but man, I got to play through it. When the amp gets too much voltage, it gets really stiff, and it's like tough to play. And then when it gets just below what it needs, it gets real squishy, and it feels good with that Van Halen type thing. But if it gets starved too much of voltage, then you're going to have issues with other pieces of your gear, so if I had to do it again, I'm not going to spend 7 or 8 grand to do that. I'm going to get a little box and I'm going to dial it in and I'll have a backup, and that's probably what I would do, unless we've got so much budget and so much help and so much road crew that I can just tap dance out there and they've got my amp dialed in and it sounds incredible. And, woo, you got to stay hydrated. So today we were at the lagoon and we were swimming around there and having a good time with the fam. And it's been an epic weekend. And I'm so thankful to everybody that tunes into this channel. We've got 63 in here. If you haven't hit that like button, we might go another minute or two longer. But man, we have incredible things, afoot in this channel with the X5 podcast, me appearing on their podcast. I'm hoping while I'm up there, I'll take my camera and I'll do some podcasts. Or I'll go live up there, or I'll shoot some footage while I'm up there and talk about it. And it'll be another story that I'll have for, down the line. All of these experiences and things that we have in life. And that's why I love this channel. And I love everybody that watches it and comments, because man, you guys have done all this cool stuff too. And hearing about it, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you. Jimmy, I would have thought you would know all that stuff. I mean, but Keith and Lance didn't really, here's the thing, man. Do I like Typo Negative? I guess I do, but to be honest with you, Mickey, I've never really listened to them. I never really did. Jimmy knows my old roommates, Keith and Lance Morrison. Keith Halen and Lance Morrison. And but those guys, they didn't try to get signed and be in like bands like that. They went straight to playing with artist gigs and doing sideman work and stuff like that. So it's a whole different world, man. It's hard. It's equally hard to be a sideman and get paid and do all that stuff. But I think it might be harder being a nobody on the street level trying to promote your. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Yes, indeed, Tim. So yeah, that's what's going on, everybody. I was so surprised to see Stephen Riley and the Quiet Riot drummer. Both were acquaintances. Yeah. So yeah. And yeah, both rest in peace, man. So many of those guys, and you'll see in that Nothing But a Good Time documentary on Paramount Plus, man, a lot of those guys are looking really rough. And I know I can't talk because my wig's, it's starting to flop now, and I'm not getting as much lift as I would normally from my wig. But man, we're all should just be thankful. Yeah, Stephen Riley's dead. He's the drummer. I just sold my heart key. Too heavy. Yeah. The gear becomes too heavy. I've got 2 tube amps right now. I just don't use them. I can't crank them up in here, and I can't, so therefore it is what it is right now. I'm using modeling to do recording, and I've got a bunch of different things to pull from and get sounds. I just don't ever think I'll really go for getting a 100-watt Marshall anymore. It's just, I'll rent one. If I gotta go do, somebody wants me to go do something and it pays enough, I'll call up the local SIR and say, give me a JCM 800 and 2 JCM 800s and 2 412s. That's what I'd probably ask for. The JCM 800s are usually, they're still working, and 2 412 cabs, and just give me maybe a tube screamer and maybe a delay pedal, and that'd be good. Oh, dude, Grigori, yeah, 2 tube amps. When I would get backline, I would always ask for 2 tube amps. And that way, if one fails, you just turn that one off and you keep going on the one that's working. So yeah, that's the thing, man. I would always keep, when I carried my own gig, Grigori, I keep like a quilter thing that I can plug the speaker from the combo amp into the back of that. And that way I don't have to take 2 tube amps. And I've played gigs where I get to the gig and boom, I flick on the tube amp and the tube amp is down from the gate. And I've played the whole gig with that little quilter thing plugged into the speaker from the combo amp. So that's what I always did, because man, I don't want to carry 2 tube amps up. Sometimes you got to carry stuff up a flight of stairs, and sometimes, yeah, keep one of those in your gig bag. Keep a quilter in your gig bag. And there's a lot of little small amps, these little portable amps and stuff like that. Great for backups. Well, I just want to thank everybody for tuning in today. David Hunter, I don't, Jimmy. But we will talk again, my friend. Everybody, thank you so much. We've had a great Sunday. Thank you to everybody in the super thanks and super chat and all that. You guys all rock. I appreciate everyone. And I'll see the Breakfast Club tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. When I put out a video tomorrow, I don't know what it's going to be about, but I promise you it'll be fun. Thanks so much, everybody. Leah, the funeral parade, everybody take care. Thanks again, and I will see you all soon.